Somewhere right now, a woman is standing in front of her bathroom mirror. She just paid $60 for a serum. The active ingredient in that bottle comes from a single plant. That plant grows in sidewalk cracks across Southeast Asia, where children step on it, walking to school. Street vendors blend it into $2 smoothies. But in the West, that same compound gets extracted, reformulated, and sold back at 200 times the markup. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to grow this plant yourself, harvest it from your own yard, and make every preparation the skincare industry charges you a fortune for. Here is the part that should bother you. This plant does not look exotic. It does not look special. It looks like something you would pull out of a flower bed without thinking twice. Small round leaves with scalloped edges hugging the ground in clusters. It creeps along wet patches, shady corners, the edges of garden paths where the soil stays damp. In the southern United States, it already grows wild in at least a dozen states. You may have mowed over it last Saturday morning and never looked down. Now imagine this. In Sri Lanka, elephants seek out a particular ground cover and graze it obsessively. Locals noticed centuries ago that elephants with access to this plant seem to live longer and remember more. The observation became legend. The legend became medicine. In Thailand, grandmothers blend a small green leaf into juice every single morning and credit it for their skin looking 20 years younger than their age. Walk through any morning market in Bangkok, and you will see vendors selling cups of pale green liquid for less than $1. That drink contains the same compound sitting inside your $60 serum right now. Never harvest wild Centella asiatica growing near city pavements, roadside sidewalk cracks, urban drainage ditches, or chemically treated lawns. Centella is a known heavy metal hyperaccumulator that readily absorbs toxic lead, cadmium, and pesticide runoff from surrounding soil. Additionally, stagnant wild patches frequently harbor parasite larvae and pathogenic bacteria. Always grow your own supply in clean, tested potting soil or purchase food-grade dried herb. In India, Ayurvedic practitioners have prescribed this herb for over 3,000 years. Not decades, not centuries, 3 millennia. They used it for wound healing. They used it for memory. They used it for longevity. They wrote it into texts that Western scholars did not translate for generations. In Indonesia, street vendors in Jakarta sell it as a chilled pennywort drink from carts on every major road. In Vietnam, it goes into soups and salads as casually as lettuce. Same plant, same leaf, same benefits. 5 countries, 5 different names. 5 unbroken traditions stretching back further than most Western nations have existed. And 0 presence in any Western grocery store. That gap is not an accident, but knowing this plant exists is not enough. Because the story of how it was rebranded, repackaged, and sold back to you at 200 times the markup changes what you do next. The plant is called Centella asiatica. In the West, the few people who have heard of it call it Gotu Kola. In Ayurveda, they called it Brahmi, the herb of grace. In China, it is Ji Shui Kao. In Korea, Byongpul. In Madagascar, Talapetraka. One plant carrying more names than most people carry passports. And every single one of those names points to the same set of properties that the modern beauty industry discovered, repackaged, and never told you the source of. Decades ago, researchers in France noticed something unusual happening in rural Madagascar. Cuts and burns among local populations healed faster than expected, much faster. The common thread was a leaf poultice that village healers applied to wounds. The French isolated the active compounds, 4 molecules: asiaticoside, madecassoside, asiatic acid, madecassic acid. And these 4 compounds do something remarkable. They signal your skin cells to produce new collagen. Not surface filler, not frozen muscles, not a temporary plumping effect that fades in 6 hours. Actual new collagen generated by your own cells from the inside out. Burn treatment centers adopted it. Scar clinics adopted it. Surgical recovery protocols in parts of Asia integrated it. And then the cosmetics industry noticed. Here is where the economics get interesting. The beauty industry did not ignore this plant. They did something smarter. They shortened Centella asiatica to one word, Cica. Then they built an entire skincare category around that word. Cica creams, Cica serums, Cica recovery masks, Cica repair balms. Korean beauty brands led the wave. Western brands followed within a few years. By 2023, the global Cica skincare market crossed $1 billion in annual revenue. $1 billion. But here is what no brand puts on the label. The Cica in your $60 bottle is an extract of a plant that grows in drainage ditches across half the planet. The extraction process is not proprietary. The plant is not rare. It is not endangered. It is not difficult to grow. It is a ground cover that spreads by sending out runners along the soil surface and rooting at every single node it touches. It grows faster than most gardeners can contain it. The markup from living leaf to branded product is staggering. A starter plant costs $3 to $5 at a nursery. It fills a pot in one growing season. It provides a continuous supply of leaves for years without replanting. The $60 serum on your bathroom shelf contains an extract of something you could be growing on your porch right now for the cost of a small container and some potting soil. This is not conspiracy. This is margin protection. A self-spreading ground cover that anyone can grow cannot sustain a premium price point. So the industry uses a shortened name that sounds clinical. They package the extract in elegant frosted glass bottles. They market it with words like advanced and concentrated and clinically proven. And they never once mention that the source material is a common plant growing in wet ground across South Asia, Southeast Asia, parts of Africa, and the American South. The moment consumers learn they can grow the source plant on a windowsill, the entire value proposition collapses. If this plant only fixed skin, that would be enough. But the compounds that rebuild collagen do something else entirely once they reach your brain. 3,000 years before neuroscience existed, Ayurvedic physicians in India classified this plant as a Medhya Rasayana. That translates roughly to brain rejuvenator. They prescribed it for memory. They prescribed it for focus. They prescribed it for what we would now call anxiety. They did not know the mechanism. They knew the result. Modern research caught up and found that the same triterpenoid compounds that stimulate collagen in skin tissue also cross the blood-brain barrier. Once there, they support the growth and repair of neural pathways. Studies have documented improvements in memory retention, reduced markers of anxiety, and neuroprotective effects that slow age-related cognitive decline. The Sri Lankan folk belief about elephants and memory was not just folklore. The connection between this plant and brain function is real, measurable, and consistent across multiple research traditions. You clicked on this video because of skin. Now you know this plant also supports the organ that matters most. And the list does not stop there. Traditional healers across Asia have used Gotu kola for wound healing, not just cosmetic skin improvement, but actual wound closure and tissue repair. They have used it to improve circulation, particularly for varicose veins and heaviness in the legs. While culinary amounts of Centella asiatica are safe for general consumption, concentrated alcohol tinctures or prolonged daily ingestion of high-dose extracts carry clinical risks. High-dose Centella asiatica has been linked in published toxicological literature to rare cases of drug-induced liver injury and contact dermatitis. Avoid daily high-dose tinctures if you have pre-existing liver disease, are taking sedative or GABA-modulating medications, or are pregnant or breastfeeding. They have used it as a mild calming agent that reduces anxiety without causing drowsiness. They have used it for digestive support and joint inflammation. Each of these applications has been validated by modern research, and each one represents another industry selling you a product that this single plant provides on its own. Everything you just heard means nothing if you cannot grow it yourself. So here is exactly how you do it. Go-To Cola thrives outdoors in zones 7 through 11. That covers most of the southern and coastal United States and equivalent climates across Europe. But here is the key. You can grow it anywhere as a container plant. If you have a windowsill with indirect light, you can grow Go-To Cola. If you have a shaded patio, you can grow Go-To Cola. If you have a bathroom with a window, the humidity alone makes it happy. The plant prefers partial shade and consistently moist soil. Think of the conditions where moss thrives. That is where Go-To Cola wants to be. Morning sun and afternoon shade is ideal. Rich soil that holds moisture but does not become waterlogged. Slightly acidic to neutral pH. For containers, go wide and shallow rather than deep. A 12-inch pot works perfectly. A window box works even better. The plant spreads horizontally by sending out runners called stolons. Each runner puts down roots wherever it contacts soil. One starter plant from a nursery or an online herb supplier can fill a pot within a single growing season. In warm climates, it never goes dormant. In cooler climates, bring the pot indoors before the first frost, and it keeps growing through winter. Watering is simple. Keep the soil consistently moist, not soggy. Moist. If the top half-inch of soil feels dry, water it. Feed it with a light compost top dress twice a year. That is all it needs. Here is the self-seeding promise. In zones 9 through 11, Go-To Cola naturalizes permanently. Once established in a garden bed, it persists year after year, spreading to fill any available space, with no replanting, no reseeding, no annual purchase. One decision: permanent supply. Now for the part that matters most, how to actually use it. The simplest method is eating it fresh. Pick leaves and tender stems directly from the plant. Add them raw to salads. Blend them into smoothies with a banana and some honey. Toss them into soups during the last 2 minutes of cooking so they wilt but do not lose their potency. The flavor is mild, slightly bitter, slightly grassy, not unpleasant. In Thailand, the fresh juice is sweetened with honey or palm sugar and served cold over ice. You can do the same thing in your kitchen with a blender and a handful of leaves from your porch. For tea, take a handful of fresh leaves or a tablespoon of dried leaves. Steep in hot water for 10 minutes, strain and drink. This is the most traditional preparation across South and Southeast Asia. 1 cup daily. That is the routine that grandmothers in Sri Lanka and Thailand have followed for generations. For skin, crush fresh leaves into a paste and apply directly to minor cuts, scrapes, burns, or irritated patches. Cover lightly and let it work. This is the exact preparation that caught the attention of French researchers in Madagascar. The same poultice that village healers used for centuries before anyone in a lab coat confirmed what was happening. For an infused oil, pack fresh Go-To Cola leaves into a clean glass jar. Cover completely with a carrier oil. Olive oil, coconut oil, or jojoba oil all work. Seal the jar. Place it in a cool, dark spot for 4 to 6 weeks. Shake it gently every few days. After 6 weeks, strain out the leaves. What remains is a go-to cola-infused oil that you can apply directly to your face, your neck, your hands, anywhere you want. Collagen support. This is the home version of what the Cica industry packages in frosted glass and sells for $50 to $100. For a healing salve, melt beeswax into your infused oil at a ratio of roughly 1 part beeswax to 4 parts oil. Pour it into small tins or jars while still warm. Let it cool and solidify. You now own a healing balm made from a plant you grew on your porch. The total cost after the initial plant purchase is beeswax and carrier oil. A few dollars for a product equivalent to what retails for $40 to $80 in a boutique skincare shop. For a tincture, pack fresh leaves into a jar and cover with high-proof vodka or grain alcohol. Seal it. Store in a dark place for 4 to 6 weeks. Strain. Take a small dropper full in water daily. This is a concentrated form for cognitive and circulatory support. The skincare industry will never print a growing guide on the back of a Cica serum. The supplement companies will never tell you this plant spreads for free once you put it in the ground. The information was never hidden. It sat in Ayurvedic texts for 3,000 years. It sat in Thai morning markets for generations. It sat in the ground, growing in sidewalk cracks, spreading one runner at a time, waiting. The plant does not care about your skincare budget. It cares about wet soil and one more node touching the earth. It has done this for millennia. It will keep doing it long after every bottle on your bathroom shelf is empty.